Just keep an eye on a couple of stocks. We are seeing incremental weakness on Adani Group stocks, down 7% for Adani, and ACC is the other one, which is down 4% as well. And Abbott is the other one, which is down about 4% odd. So that's the health of the mid-cap end of things, not looking particularly good at this noon time. But we have a bunch of numbers that came in as well. And Indigo Paints posted a sluggish set of third quarter numbers, delayed monsoon and post-festive season slump to impacted demand. We do have with us Hemant Jalan, who's the chairman and managing director of the company, joining in. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jalan. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Understandably, the third quarter was sluggish because of the reasons that we just spoke about. But you did say that November and December saw a bit of a pickup. So can you give us a sense of whether that pickup has sustained into the fourth quarter so far? And if you could quantify that as well, what can we expect?
So it has sustained itself, at least as far as January is concerned. We are still in the, halfway through February. So it's a little difficult to predict as far as February and March is concerned. But in general, markets have been very good in November, December and January. I didn't say that there was a post-festive slump. I said that there was a slump because we had a very short festive season. Diwali was earlier this year, 24th of October. We had monsoons which continued almost till about 18th of October throughout India. So we had a very short festive season compared to last fiscal. And therefore, October sales were low, not just for us, but I guess for the entire paint industry. And I believe everyone has done well in November, December. I don't know about January, about others, but we have done well in January. So I see good demand continuing as far as the forthcoming future is concerned.
Could you quantify that? I mean, do we see double-digit plus growth, mid-teens? I mean, how is Jan taking place so far in terms of demand?
I will not be able to give you figures for Jan because I guess we would not be able to disclose that until the quarter is over. But I would say that, see, now all the price hikes and all are behind us. So the numbers of growth looked artificially high during the last 4 quarters because in Q3 of last year, there was a 15% hike in paint prices.
Sure.
Also, during the last 1 or 2 years, whenever you were comparing a quarter on a year-on-year basis, usually the previous year had some disruption by way of COVID, etc., which showed optically a much higher growth rate than what normally you would expect to find. Now, all that is behind us. Now, going forward, neither do we have any COVID impact in the preceding year, nor do we have any price correction. And therefore, I think the paint industry as a whole should come back to that 11, 12, 13% value growth going forward. Hopefully, with our smaller base, we should do a little better than that, is our expectation and desire.
Sure. Mr. Jalan, that's exactly the point. You have, I think you're done with price hikes, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you haven't taken any. And hence your value growth has actually outpaced your volume growth in most of your segments. For example, cement paints on a 9-month basis, value growth is 28%, volume growth is 19%. Do you expect it to probably converge at some point? What is your guidance on both volume as well as value going into FY24?
Going forward, value growth and volume growth will be pretty similar to each other. So that difference that you see between value growth numbers and volume growth numbers is entirely an effect of the price increases that have happened. Now all that is behind us. So going forward from Q4 onwards, you would expect to see a very marginal gap, if any, between value growth and volume growth numbers.
And you're guiding for 10 to 11%. I'm sorry, I heard you say that about value growth for the industry. You would probably be the same.
I'm saying that for Indigo Paints, we obviously like to try and grow much faster than the rest of the industry because we are still a relatively young player as far as the industry is concerned.
Okay. In fact, since you're talking about that, I want to understand, I'm sure there's a lot of competition in the industry right now with so many new players, larger entrants as well. What is the market share that you enjoy at the moment and what are you doing to combat competition? Do you think there would be pricing pressure?
So, there has been talk about one large entrant who is to enter, and that talk has been around for 2 years now. And I think their entry is still a year away. So at the moment, there is no change as far as the competitive landscape is concerned. And even when some players do enter, I doubt whether their entry would be so grandiose to be able to shake up the profitability or the margins inside the industry. It's an
And
industry.
what about your market share? What about your market share currently?
At the moment, our market share would be in the region of about 2.5%.
Okay.
Overall, as far as India is concerned, in the decorative segment.
Okay. And once your new plant in Tamil Nadu comes on stream, how much do you think you can see in terms of incremental revenues?
See, I don't think capacity should at all be related to sales values or volumes or market. So paint producers increase capacity when they see that in the next 1 or 2 years, you're going to hit some kind of a bottleneck in supply. And therefore, when you go for a capacity increase, you don't do it with the next 1 year in mind, you do it with the next 2 to 3 years in mind, so that you don't have to keep constantly expanding capacity. So an expansion of capacity, I think, is totally unrelated to growth in market share or sales. We have been growing reasonably well over the years. And therefore, with our existing capacity, we felt that there was a need to implement capacity expansion. Otherwise, 6-8 months down the road, we could have run into some supply bottlenecks. So it is with that in view that we are implementing this plant in Tamil Nadu.
Right. Mr. Jalan, always a pleasure speaking with you. Would have loved to speak more about your distribution strategy and, the Indigo 2.0 strategy that you have with regards to the 750 towns, etc. But that conversation for another day, out of time on this edition for Conversations with you. We'll take a short break. On the other side, we'll get you more on the markets and individual stocks. Stay tuned.